Okay, gamers, hello. Welcome back once again. We've got another interview up here for you. Marathon has actually just kicked off, so if you're watching this live, we got Witherman doing some Sonic story in Sonic Adventure cutscene cut right now going on. But if you're here on Sacer Sides with us, you've currently got the main event interview to look forward to because I'm here with Drum and Hedera. How are you both doing, gamers? How are you doing today, Drum?
I'm doing well. I'm enjoying the Sacer Marathon. I just learned that the light shoes in Sonic Adventure is further down the sewers. That's
I
crazy.
didn't know this. And I've played Sonic
Wow,
Adventure. But there you
that's
go.
wild.
Learning a lot
I
of
feel
fun
like I knew
facts.
this at one point.
And the tournament, the event's just getting started as well. And how about you, Hedera? I know you two are
Uh,
on opposite sides of sleep schedules at the moment, but
True.
yeah,
I've been awake for like an hour. I'm still in my pajamas.
I've
and
been
you're about to
awake
go to
for
sleep.
very many hours.
But feeling good, doing good, feeling good,
Feeling good,
feeling good,
doing
as we
well.
do. Feeling well, doing good. Glad to hear. Glad to hear. So obviously, you two are headlining this one. Looking forward to this. Obviously, Hedera, you're coming back on after the last time out against Divu. We've got Dark Story on the horizon. Both of your main category, you'd say. We sort of spoke to you a little bit last time, Hedera, so I'll ask you, Drum, first of all. Why don't you tell me a little bit about sort of your general history with Dark Story and how you kind of got into it and got to where you are today?
So when I first heard of speedrunning, which was in like late 2015, it was like a YouTube recommended video. It was Talon's All Stories Run at like HGDQ 2015 or something, or maybe SGDQ, because at this point it was September or October 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh shit, that's really cool. And I started watching a bunch of different speedruns, and I was like, well, I guess I should do this now. I've exhausted like past GTQ runs that I'm interested in. And my favorite game is Sonic Adventure 2, so I'm just going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, as Hero and Dark, you have to make a choice right away. Which are you going to do?
Mm.
And my favorite stage was Crazy Gadget, like casually.
Mm.
But I saw CGSS and thought, not only is this hard, but this is lame.
Where was CGSS at that point? Was that still sort of like
Hey,
bad? Was that bad cam?
It was definitely
Uh,
bad cam at that point.
yeah.
I think it was pretty much exclusively bad cam jump.
Oof.
yeah,
And
CGSS is lame.
yeah.
Spread the word.
And so I was just like, well, my second favorite stage is White Jungle. So let's do that one instead, because that one isn't cringe.
There we go. We have White
And
Jungle
so
to
I did,
thank.
yeah. And yeah, I do. And lack of, I mean, obviously nowadays there's like loop speed, but you could just, not do those. They save like a second.
Mm.
It's pretty clear what you should do otherwise. Whereas in Crazy Gadget, as a new runner, I was just like, yeah, I have no idea what to do. There's an entire, like, two-thirds of the stage left,
Mm-hmm.
three quarters even. And so I started like doing like ILs of that. I didn't get very good times. I remember getting down to like below 2 minutes, below like sub 150, and then that was like the first stage I ever really grinded. I'm pretty sure that sub 145 was pretty big for me, and then sub 140 was also huge. That one took a really long time. I got a 139.90, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously nowadays, like, I'd love to know what I was doing because that time sucks. But yeah, that was a really big thing. And I generally in so after my semester at university was done, because that was my first year at university. So it was like May 2016. I was like, okay, let's learn the rest of the dark stages and then let's do dark runs. And
Mm.
I got like a 29 or something, 28 maybe somewhere. No, it was a 30. Yeah, it was a mid 30. It was like a 30, 35 or something.
That's
And I
IGT,
submitted that
right?
and then
But yeah, that would be
yeah,
IGT,
yeah,
not RTA.
yeah, back in 2016.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I mean, yeah, that's the story of how I picked up Dark.
Okay, and then it just kind of kept going for you, so you kind of effectively became the Dark Story guy. And
Yeah, I didn't do much for a while. I was like back to
mm-hmm.
doing like casual gaming and just being a university student.
Mm-hmm.
And I still play the game every now and then. I like to do Crazy Gadget with CGS. I like to do
Mm-hmm.
Metal Harbor. I like to do Pyramid Cave. And I wasn't very good at either of them, but I like doing them. And I was like, I'm never going to do like CGSS or Hero Story runs. But I can do this. and I can do other Dark Story runs. Because I recognize that like Pyramid Cave is like the best stage, so I would enjoy doing that. Just picking up and doing that for like a day or two, in just like my cycle of just playing like casual games.
Yeah,
And
so for sure.
yeah,
And it's kind of interesting because obviously you mentioned there kind of still is obviously there's a few more major skips in it nowadays, but the kind of consensus around Dark Story is always that it's been a very movement heavy story. So, it's interesting that what got you into it was the fact that Hero Story had this BS skip and that swung you over
yeah.
towards Dark, and that's kind of how things got sorted on that path. So yeah, that's a pretty interesting drum origin story there. But yeah, so for you, Hedera, on the opposite side of the fence, obviously, like I mentioned, we spoke to you a little bit last time about kind of how you got into Dark. I know you've kind of been dabbling in Dark stuff a little bit recently as well, but I think more on the New Game Plus side of things. How's your sort of time with the category been since we last saw you?
I was pretty bored, and
Oh,
NG Plus seemed like best option.
mm,
Microphone.
I think your
I don't
microphone
really
moment
like
there.
NG Plus so much, but like, no, it cut out.
Yeah, go ahead. Say again.
I, eh, eh. uh, I was really bored, so
Mhm.
NG Plus seemed like a good answer because it's boring. You don't do a
Okay.
whole lot.
So,
I don't
if you're
like that.
bored, you should do something boring.
Exactly.
It's an interesting approach. And how's that been working out?
I've gotten 2 microgurps. I hate it.
That's
I
pretty
hate this
good.
category. Please put me back in new game.
Well, here's the opportunity for you. You're back on the new game face here, and you're going up against Drum. Obviously, no disrespect to Divu, but perhaps maybe a little bit of well, I think it's fair to say a big step up in terms of opponent, right? Because you've come up against each other before. Drum is one of the top dogs in Dark Story as a whole. So, how are you feeling just coming into it, going up against Drum? What have you got to sort of look out for and prepare yourself? What's the mentality going in?
Um, so obviously better the game than the last time we raced, so maybe I have somewhat of a chance.
Yeah, and the last
That
time
is
you
my
raced,
thought.
the last time you raced obviously was back in DST 21. So
Yeah, we raced
you
4
know,
times during that
yeah, that
tournament.
was a
Well, now I lost every one of them, every single
Yeah.
one.
Our scores have definitely converged since then because I don't think you even had a 23 at that point.
Nope.
Yeah, and I'm like mostly out of practice.
Yeah, I was going to mention that to you as well, Drum. Obviously, we haven't really seen you on the dark scene as much as it has been in previous sort of times and whatnot. How much are you practiced for this going into it? Obviously, the match is tomorrow. Have you kind of
Yeah.
been doing any D-Rust, or is it kind of just get into it and see how it goes?
So one of the reasons that like I don't play Dog as much anymore is with the newest skips. Like definitely you were talking about earlier, like Dog is the movement one, Hero is the skips one. That's also
Mm,
converged a lot, I think. Dog has um Cosmic Wall and Final Chase skips now, so there's not too much like I honestly think nowadays that playing Dark or like practicing the Dark stages isn't even the best practice for Dark. You want to be playing other stuff so that
mm,
it can actually get you better at playing SA2. So I've been doing all Sonic stages, like the A ranks, all Sonic missions, races with Deku. So like all 30 Sonic A ranks back to back.
mm.
So that's definitely got me back into it. Um, I I needed a D-Rust at Fling. I didn't expect that, to be honest. Normally I can just like come out of a coma and hit it first try.
Yeah, that's an interesting one because going up against somebody who is considered one of the better fling players out there, and it's interesting also that you mentioned about sort of other things are probably good practice for something like Dark, because another thing which Hedera specializes in pretty heavily, I'm sure we all know, is the hunting categories. So,
Mhm.
generally speaking, just going up against Hedera, same question to you. What kind of things are you going to be keeping an eye out for? What kind of things do you know that she's going to be capable of doing some damage? And, you know, what is the mentality for you going up against Hedera as an opponent?
Um, well, with Hedera, obviously the RNG stages, she could just pull a confirmed set from somewhere. So for me, I definitely wanted to just think of like a motor race or a bike race or whatever, just keep the car on the road. Like,
Mhm.
don't do that like risky strat that saves 1 second. Just don't die and lose 20 seconds. So, like that's probably more in fitting with me just trying to do like the consistent thing. So,
Mhm.
like in Radical Highway, I did give like one attempt to gap jump, and I got on the railing just fine, but I didn't make it across. So I was like, yeah, that's enough for me. Not doing that. I didn't even
Mhm.
give Mark Bounce any attempts. Like I definitely won't be doing either of those things.
Okay. So it's going to be a bit of a rusty drum basher coming into this one. Be an interesting one for sure. So,
I'll
yeah,
definitely
we
do
will see.
sandwalking though. I think during the tournament, like DST 21, I didn't even do sandwalking most of the
Hmm.
time because I was trying to be more consistent. But
Yeah,
I think
your approach to races
yeah,
has always been an interesting one, whether it's Dark Hero or anything else. You've kind of been not one to shy away from omitting strats or, putting a little bit of a
yeah,
spin on stuff like with Bofa and whatnot. So, is that still the case for you, sort of going into races? It kind of, the more I think about it, I think it has been a little while since we've seen you in like a tournament or a race or whatnot, hasn't it? So, is that still kind of how
yeah.
you approach these things?
Um, pretty much like the only case I'd ever consider not doing that is if I was playing Katie and Dark,
Mm.
and even then I'd have to consider it. And I'd pretty much always try and do like safe options
Mm.
and
So, big safety
just
plays.
yeah, just try and not get carried away. Just be because it's something I think about often. Speedrunning, like you could, like your friends could know that you speedrun like Sonic Adventure 2, and so you're like, okay, let me show you this, and then you spend 5 attempts getting CGSS, and they're just like, dude, what am I even looking at? Are you even good at this game? And so it's like you've got to be able to do consistent stuff. You've got to do like a completed speedrun where you do nothing wrong before you can start doing anything risky, or else like are you even like competent? I guess like that's just like a scenario that I've thought of. Like, imagine if you were to show like someone at like the break room at lunchtime at work, and you just like can't do anything. Like
Mm.
you get like a fifth try pulse over, and they're just like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, for sure. And so then, Hedera, to ask you that kind of similar question, really, what would you kind of agree there? Would you say that the movement is the be all end all before anything else? And because obviously, I know, like we mentioned, you've got a few other sets of skills in your arsenal, like the hunting. You're very consistent at a lot of the skips in the category. What would you say your kind of viewpoint is there?
Uh, yeah, it did. Yeah, I do kind of agree. It is very much like a very movement focused category. There's
Mm-hmm.
like 3 skips, uh, and like drum is better at the execution stages. So I'm like, yeah, I'm expecting to just lose time there compared to
Mm. Yeah, and coming into the race as the underdog, no stranger to it, no stranger to an upset either. Obviously, we all know that pretty famously. But so you've obviously got experience being in this situation. What is it like for you? Does it sort of change depending on your opponent, or do you kind of just tend to play the same, whichever opponent is on the other end of the race? Is it all the same, or does it differ slightly for you?
I mean, I'm very risk averse, especially in races, but like
Mm-hmm.
just in general in my play style.
Mm-hmm.
So like you're not gonna be seeing any funny strats that are saving 2 seconds, especially in Radical Highway.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but like the movement is where my focus is, and that's where it's gonna be. The tiny strats are that are risky and save me a few seconds. No, get them out of here.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
I'm gonna
Go on.
do what works, and it's gonna work. And if it doesn't work, I'm gonna cry.
It's interesting because you're both kind of sounding at least a little bit. I guess the word would be cautious, maybe, about sort of the approach going into it. So that's an interesting one for sure because it kind of shows that you're both not underestimating each other in the slightest. And I would sort of say, generally, I know we've kind of touched on it in bits and pieces here. If you were to kind of point out one major place within the category as a whole, whether it's a stage, whether it's a type of character, or whether it's just anything in general, what would you say are the strengths to your game that are kind of going to give you the edge in this race? What do you think is going to be the thing that can push you towards the win? I'll ask you first, Hedera.
I'm really good at Rouge.
You're pretty good at Rouge?
I can also do
Anything
Flank
else?
pretty good.
Yeah.
That's an important one to be able to do pretty good.
And then for you,
Other than
Drum?
that,
Oh, go on.
I'm okay.
Yeah. And for you, Drum, what kind of things do you feel fall into your favor mostly? What do you think is going to give you the edge?
Probably just experience, I guess.
Hmm.
Just I'm probably like pretty well rounded at SA2. I'm never gonna like forget a piece in like a hunting stage or whatever.
Mhm.
So just general like knowledge checks and decision making.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that comes down to. Those RNG stages are definitely going to be an interesting one because, it's well known that you're no slouch at hunting either. But we'll see. The meta has evolved in that regard quite a bit lately. So, especially in Rouge, that kind of has to be said. So it'll be interesting to see if any funky stuff happens in those stages for sure. But let's sort of ask a bit of a marker question. Let's kind of say what time on that final timer when you've hit that final hit on Sonic 2, what time do you think you have to come away with here in order to get the win? What's the minimum you need to walk away with? I'll ask you first, Drum.
It's something lower than Hedera's PB.
That's that's a good. It's a good time to aim for.
Yeah,
But,
like realistically, I think I'll get a 23. At least I'd hope. But yeah, I'm not really going to feel safe unless it's like a 1x at least. But that's obviously quite unlikely. I don't think I'm going to pull out a 1x.
yeah. What sort of thing would you feel satisfied with walking away?
Honestly, a 23.
Okay. And question for you, Hedera. What have you got to come away with to get the win?
I mean, it's probably going to have to be a 23, whatever it is. I can get those. I've done it a couple times.
Okay, and you have. That is correct and correct. And is that kind of be sort of where you're at? Is it, is that the satisfaction guarantee, or is there going to be kind of that, where's the mentality at with that? Do you feel happy walking away with something like that, and only that, or is there anything that you can kind of walk away with your head held high here with?
Yeah, if I get a 24, I'm quitting the game. That's just what's happening.
Alright. And then kind of moving on to some other stuff out there in the world involving both of you. So let's kind of talk about just other potential matchups, really. Hedera, this is your second time on one of these types of events, and obviously you've got a lot of races under your belt. I know I've spoken to you recently, and I know you mentioned maybe looking at maybe doing not quite as many in future, but is there anything out there still that kind of appeals to you in terms of maybe a category that you'd like to face off against anybody in, or are you looking at this maybe as a nice one to kind of maybe sign off for a little break with? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I really need a break. I don't know. I think a last story race would be really funny.
Yeah?
Really funny.
Who's gonna be the opponent?
No clue, but it would be funny.
Just find someone.
Should consider getting Stella for that. I know Stella
That
was
would be a good one.
Yo.
after Hero and Dog, she was genuinely like, "Can we ever hit the last story tournament?" Like
It would be
if we ever
very
did
funny.
that, it would be like in her memory, like
In her
that was like
memory.
She's dead now.
That would be tragic.
What's the point?
But yeah, that would be incredible. A lot of Lizard. I know we're a big fan of the Lizard. But yeah, last story needs its time to shine. It's not even gonna. Are we gonna see it at the marathon at all?
We're
I
barely
guess.
seeing any SE2 at all, frankly.
Yeah, no, we won't even see it in Aura's run, will we? We don't have any. We're not gonna see the Lizard at all. I'm gutted about
It gets
that.
no love. We need love for the Lizard. Post the Lizard in the comments or the chat or something, anything.
In community discussion.
In community discussion, post Lizard.
But yeah, then same question to you, Drum, really. Sort of, I know you mentioned to me before about having someone you might be interested in calling out for this category once, depending on what happens here, I'm sure. But in terms of anything else out there, any other SACER categories, I know you've been dipping into Sadix recently. Is there any other category that you might kind of fancy a shot at alongside anybody? Anybody you might fancy calling out?
Well, I do plan on going on a Heroes arc later this year.
Oh yeah.
When my mom visits me in early April, she'll bring me like my GameCube and my Wii, so I can actually play. Obviously, I can play like an emulator anyway, but I have a console, so I will play on the console.
Hardware fans.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
My like kind of current speed goals, I don't know if it'll actually happen, is to do a 430 eventually.
Mm.
So that's one of the reasons I've been doing SADX 130, and obviously I know how to do SA2 180. So next is Heroes, so I do hope to go on a Heroes arc. Hopefully it won't go too terribly.
Yeah,
So
Heroes is such an interesting one by comparison, especially for the completionist categories.
yeah. So I'm not sure how good I'll get at Heroes, but maybe I could get like a Team Sonic unrestricted versus Drywall or something. Maybe.
That would be an interesting one,
So
yeah.
obviously, like I don't really think I'm gonna go to the Heroes. I don't think I have it in me.
Mm.
But Drywall's like all alone on the unrestricted leaderboard, like 5 minutes below, 5 minutes above. Maybe I should join him.
Get someone in that ballpark. We'll see. We'll see. It'll be a good one for sure. And the more Team Sonic love, the better. You know, it's kind of, despite being the main category in quotes, it doesn't quite get the same attention. But you know, we'll see. We'll see. That could definitely be an interesting one. And coming back to this one quickly, then. So obviously the Rival Battles card, second one this time out, got a lot of neat looking matchups here on the card. You guys are main eventing, but there's 6 other matches. Drum, I'll ask you first. Is there any other match that's particularly catching your eye, and do you have any predictions?
So I'm definitely gonna be excited for the Amy story between Spacebar and Pasta,
Mm.
because those two are like obviously like Katie and Nyx were the gods of everything. But for
Mm-hmm.
Amy's story, those guys are at least like S tier.
Mm.
So that's gonna be really cool to see.
Any predictions on the table?
Um, no. I
No.
mean, Pasta's really saying that he's not gonna do it. That he's like a glass cannon,
Mm.
and it's a best of 5. And so if that's true, then it's probably gonna be like a 3-1 or 3-2 defeat. But I don't know, I believe in him.
We'll see. We'll see. We got the drum back into pasta, so that'll be an interesting one. But we'll see. And then anything else on the card in particular, or kind of that's the main one. That's the big one.
Emerald and Dawn is the other one. Just to
Mm.
watch.
Yeah, that'll be a good one for sure. And then for you, Hedera, anything else out there catching your eye?
Uh, I guess just pretty much just Emerald Dawn, because like
Yeah.
I don't know a whole lot about many of these other things.
Mm. Dabble
How do
in
you know that
Rose.
works?
You know, you don't know famous
I have
famous
done
Rose
Team Rose,
matchup.
that's true.
You know.
Uh, Vintage is cool. Yeah, go Vintage.
All right, go vintage. Big vintage fan as well over there.
Can't
But
believe
yeah,
it.
no.
He's
So
from New Jersey, you know?
oh, there you
You
go.
know?
You gotta
Yeah,
back your friends. I don't know
gotta
if we have
back my
any.
homeboy.
I don't know if we have any Stoke on Trent residents on the card this time around. I know Aiden was here last time. I believe that's
Yeah.
where he's living. So
Yeah,
you know.
it still doesn't make any sense to me that like Iden is like living in Stoke. I'm not even sure if he is anymore. But yeah, doesn't make sense.
It's like a rotational thing, you know. So
Yeah,
we're gonna have to have an
nice.
Ottawan move to wherever Aiden lived in Wales.
Or yeah, so Liam obviously grew up here, so
Liam moves
he's
to
got a
Wales.
he's got a
Aiden moves
future
to
in Lancashire.
Stoke. Brilliant. All right. But yeah, no. So let's go a little bit further beyond that then. So I think I asked you this question before, Hedera. I can't quite remember what your dream matchup was, but same kind of question to you right now. See if anything's changed. If you can pick any runners, past or present, any category, any game, dream matchup on here. What's your dream matchup?
Hmm.
I know Specs just started learning Dark Story. Any opponents for him?
That's true.
Them?
Who would I put Spec against? I don't know.
Drum
This
Basher?
is this is this is option paralysis. Please stop hurting my brain.
All right, and Drum. Any dream matchup out there for you?
In any words in any game? Question mark.
Any Sisa game?
Yeah, that's a lot of options.
You see, it's a hard question.
I guess since we're talking about Dark, I should consider Dark the most. Something Emarua. I guess I don't know, 2016 Emarua and Ethmar.
That would be an interesting one.
Sounds good to me. So I don't know if I mean you guys definitely weren't around then, but
Yeah,
the
no.
record was at Emarua's 2550 IGT, and second place was Talon. He had like a low 26. Third place was Ethmar. He had like a 2616 or something. Or no, Talon had the 2616. Ethmar was third with something, and he was trying to get the dark record, and he got like a 25.5x. And he even got a 25.59 on Xbox. I don't know why. I don't remember why. I'm sure he would have told us, but so that's I'm pretty sure that's still the dark record on Xbox.
That's Ethmar, right? So yeah, I retimed that recently, actually.
Yeah, and that was 9 seconds off the world record at the time. That was a genuine world record attempt. And he eventually ended up beating the record. He got like a 25.49 and then like a 47, and then he started having the battle with Katie.
Mm-hmm.
But so, yeah, for me, I'd get the shout out to 2016 era Ethmar and Emarua.
We'll host it on IGN. That'll be a good one.
It was on IGN.
And yeah, there's I realised I actually skipped a little question on my list, but it's as good a question as any to say for last. Obviously, we got the title bout on the line here. First time we're having a Dark Story title bout. So you two going up against each other for it. Obviously, Hedera, I know you're kind of coming into this off the back of that race with Divu, but you know, how much of that is playing into your mind? You know, how much is a potential Dark Story champion title sounding like it appeals to you, or the idea of defending it in future? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I, I guess I'd be the race queen instead of the fling queen. So
Yeah, I guess so.
Cool.
I know you have talked about a break, but I don't
bit.
think you would be needing to defend the title anytime soon.
I'm not out yet.
If you win, you have to stay.
Escaping.
Well, we'll see. And then drum to you as well. Obviously, I know you've kind of been with me behind the scenes on the whole rival battles thing. So, what are kind of your interests in title defense, and maybe going on to defend it in a few more matches? What are you thinking there?
I definitely hope I get it, just because I have I guess I've like cool matchups that I've thought of that I could do in like the various categories as well. Because one thing about the belts is obviously like they're umbrellas, so Dark also can. I'm missing a word. Has to do with NG plus and like restricted race mode.
It covers.
Yeah. And so yeah, I like ideally would like to like go through the categories basically, but to do that, I need to win all the matches.
We may see the Drum Basher Grand Tour, or we may see Hedera be sticking around. We'll find out. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be the main one to watch out for, the thing that will close off the rivals block before we carry on with the rest of the marathon. But yeah, it's going to be for sure an absolute banger of an event. I do not doubt that for a second. So looking forward to this one heavily. And I'll just ask you both, really, before we do sign off here. First of all, I want to say thanks for hopping on. Been a pleasure as always. And yeah, no, so just any final words, any final messages, warnings, shots, anything you want to fire away at, anything left to say to the opponent. Drum, do you have anything to say to Hedera before we sign off?
No, I do not.
No? Okay. Hedera, anything?
Have a nice night. Have a nice sleep.
Yeah, get a good rest, Hedera. Anything you want to say?
Nice rest of your day.
Thank you.
Have fun with that.
All right, then. Well, thank you both gamers for hopping on in here. And yeah, Hedera, I hope you have a good sleep. Drum, I hope you have a good breakfast.
That's true. I have breakfast.
Have a good rest of your day and enjoy the rest of the season, Marathon Gamers. But yeah, look forward to this one tomorrow at I think it's roughly about 8 p.m. Eastern time, if I'm not wrong. This one gets going. But yeah, thank you both for hopping on, and we'll sign off there, yeah. So don't miss this. Drum vs. Hedera, main event of the Rival Battles block. Catch it tomorrow. Until then, gamers, thank you all for stopping by, and look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.